All right, so after being cooped up the past week because of that huge storm, staying safe and dry inside, we're gonna take the Kia Sonet out on a drive with some of our media friends and test it out to its limits, within reason of course, and see why exactly this is one of the most sought after cars in both our website and my DMs. So join me as we take the Kia Sonet out for a spin. So let's start off with the facts. Ever since we first released our first drive, the Kia Sonet, on our YouTube channel, we received a lot of questions and inquiries about it. It reached to a point where some of my friends even traded their existing vehicles for this bad boy right here. And I asked myself, why is that? I mean, on the face of it, there's really anything particularly remarkable about it. It's just another small, compact crossover SUV. It doesn't even have a turbocharger. It's not a hybrid. It's not an electric. But on the face of it, one thing that really stood out to me is its price and the amount of kit that you get out of that price. So it probably could be a good value, so we'll be checking that out today. I mean, for a starting price of $758,000 for the entry-level LX with a 6-speed manual transmission, all the way to the top of the line $1,138,000 SX variant, it definitely offers a lot for that price, which is a breath of fresh air, especially for a public that's looking for affordable commuting. So we're starting off our adventure just like any other adventure in the Philippines, through heavy Metro Manila traffic. It is about 8 a.m., which means we are right smack in the middle of rush hour morning rush. So yes, we're definitely right in the middle of it. But because of the Kia Sonet's good visibility, I'm still able to see everything throughout the entire roads here. One thing about Kia is that they really got the visibility of their cars pat down, so much so that a couple of decades ago, Volkswagen actually looked into their cars, the Kia Rio in particular, and tried to figure out how they did it, particularly in their small cars. This is really of no exception. So anywhere I look, I can see through the outside, which is a godsend, of course, whenever you're driving through Manila. Well, you definitely don't need to get a large SUV when you're driving through Manila. In fact, it's going to be quite a detrimental issue because you're going to have to squeeze through different other cars, especially when you're fighting through traffic. But in this one, it makes it quite easy. Now, because the dimensions are pretty small, don't think that it is, it's definitely not going to be adequate. You still have enough space inside, although I got to admit, I'm definitely not going to be the target market for this car, but I kind of like it. I mean, I still have enough space for myself, just not a lot, but it's definitely enough. Fun fact, by the way, we were able to find out what Sonet means. I thought it had something to do with being musical and, you know, those sonnets and everything. Kia tells us that Sonet actually means social network. Social network. Okay, Kia. I see what you're trying to do here, but anyway, that's what it means. Sonet is short for social network. Now, one thing that I do appreciate about the Kia Sonet is the steering. I don't appreciate it because it's sporty, because it has a lot of road feel, but it's light, especially for what it aims to be, a good city car. The steering is very light, and it does point to whatever direction you want it to go to, but don't expect a lot of road feel. It's no sports car. It's very far from it. You've got a 1.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. I did have some reservations when I first tried this out, but now that we're out on the highway, I finally get how it actually feels and what its purpose is. Because even though without me trying through city traffic and right now through the highway, I'm still getting 13 kilometers per liter. That's right, 13 kilometers per liter with 3 guys inside, all our stuff in. It's just crazy. Now, the engine won't set the world on fire. Barely makes 115 horsepower and 145 newton meters of torque, but because of the IVT, Intelligent Variable Transmission, it does get the power you need to the front wheels whenever you need it. So it's never going to be lacking in terms of power, and it's certainly going to feel fast because of how small this is, despite the fact that you're not reaching 100 at all. You can reach 100, but you're going to have to really push that engine. So I want to talk about a few things about the Kia Sonet that I've noticed. Now, driving along the highway and along city streets, I've noticed a lot of necks or heads turning looking at it, not just because we're driving in a convoy, but I think I know exactly how it looks and how other people would feel. It's quite attractive. I mean, you got these boxy lines all around. And did you know that there's been more than 700 Kia Sonets that's been released since it was first launched 2 months ago? I mean, that's a testament of how much the market has reacted to the total package, particularly how it looks. I mean, you got all these boxy lines, you got LED headlamps, tail lamps right there. Well, what I most especially like is this wing right here. I mean, the C pillar or the D pillar right here in the back actually creates this sort of fighter jet effect for me. And this is definitely one of my favorite parts of the Kia Sonet. It definitely makes it look more distinct than most of the cars or crossover SUVs out there. So when it comes to looks, the Kia Sonet is definitely a winner in my book, like I said, in my first drive. All right, so we're here at idyllic Taal Lake in Tanawan, Batangas. So one of the beauties about getting your own car is definitely bringing yourself and your family or probably a couple of friends out of town and enjoying the sights of the Philippines. I mean, what the country has to offer. I mean, back a few decades ago, the default family car would be a sedan, a hatchback, probably a wagon. But people realized that bringing an SUV or a crossover SUV in this case here is definitely beneficial because you got some good ground clearance. Now the Kia Sonet has 220 millimeters of ground clearance, making it one of the best in class in terms of ground clearance, especially in its own segment. Now what you got right here is not only some SUV looks, you got some SUV capabilities as well, although you won't be able to go off-roading in this one. Now on the way here, we were able to test out the suspension of the Kia Sonet. Now one of the few things about the Kia Sonet is that sure, it is tuned more for comfort rather than sportiness, but whenever you're traveling with your family or your friends, that's exactly what you want when it comes to these types of vehicles. So overall, when it comes to ride handling and suspension, yeah, the Kia Sonet is definitely one comfortable small SUV. Right, so let's talk about practicality. The Kia Sonet's got a decent amount of space, cup holders and bottle holders on each side, although it does sacrifice a bit when it comes to leg room for the front and the rear passengers. But again, that's just me with my 5'10.5" frame. It's kind of difficult for me to fit at least 5 of myself inside, but 4 is no problem. You got a lot of space in the back for all your stuff to go outside. All right, so right now we are at the last leg of our trip, which is on our way back home. And it started raining. Earlier today it was really bright, but yeah, this is a good chance for us to test out the safety features and check out the safety features of the Kia Sonet. So the Kia Sonet has standard safety features. You got traction control, you got airbags, ABS, electronic brake force distribution. That's the basic things that you should have on your standard car. Now this one here, right now we're testing out the EX model. The top of the line SX model had a complete suite of advanced driver assist systems except for adaptive cruise control. So you got lane departure warning, lane keep assist, forward collision mitigation system, and as well as a forward collision braking system. So it helps you out, keeping you safe. Again, all the models here have standard cruise control, but not adaptive cruise control. I would think that the SX model is just an OTA or over-the-air update away from activating adaptive cruise control, but I guess that's up to Kia to implement. This one here, we're riding the EX model. A couple of differences that the EX model has over the SX. Of course, this is cheaper. This is available for 978,000 pesos, which is an absolute steal, a bargain if you ask me. So it's got still has airbags, ABS with electronic brake force distribution, the aforementioned cruise control, and of course your traction control is already there as well. It also has a backup camera, so all the models have backup cameras. This one does have it too, but there are a couple of concessions. For example, you no longer have the screen for the gauge cluster. You have a smaller screen, but you do have this smaller one right here. Instead, gives you more basic information. You also have a smaller touchscreen infotainment system. Instead of 10 inches, you got 8 inches. But it still has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You do lose the wireless charging feature, but trust me, you don't need the wireless charging. Even with the earlier model, if with the SX when we were driving earlier, I still did not use the wireless charging because it barely charged the phone while I was using wireless wireless Android Auto, I mean. So when it comes down to things, the Kia Sonet is certainly what I call a killer app for Kia Philippines. Now, back in the day, Kia was having a hard time, actually, to be honest. Kia was having a hard time trying to get that one model which everyone was trying to relate to. Back in the 90s, they had the Kia Pride, and oh my goodness, everyone just ate that up. The Kia Pride was really successful back in the 90s, and in the 2000s, carried over with the Kia Picanto. Everyone had a Kia Picanto back in the 2000s because of how affordable it was and fuel efficient it is. This time though, in the 2020s, I can most certainly say that the Kia Sonet is the brand's killer app. But what do you think? Drop me a comment in the comment section down below and tell me what you think about the Kia Sonet. Do you think that you can consider this as an option for a first car, probably a second car right there in case for coding, or probably something you can buy your kid? You know, I want to know what you feel. While you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you wouldn't miss any of our videos. This has been Roy Robles from ZigWheels.ph. We'll be posting a full review of this in the future, so watch out for that. And I'll see you guys next time.